So I want to welcome everybody that showed up tonight. We're going to interview some of the founding members of the Lakota Young Farmers. I've already the best experience I've had since I moved here. So let's dive into it with these guys. Roger Oder has been there since day one, correct?
Correct.
And you're going to fill us in on what you want to tell us about where it began, why it began, and how it began. Lakota Young Farmers. Roger, take it away.
Okay, this really originated in the 50s, believe it or not. Jacksonburg up here had what they called an adult farmer group. They got together every month, and our fearless leader, Virgil McGraw, who was the ag teacher at the time, came up here from West Virginia, graduated from Ohio State. But anyway, he went around, he got all the old farmers in the area and got together. They had a meeting once a month. They had an agribusiness person come in and talk to them, be it a fertilizer salesman, seed salesman, machinery salesman, a lawyer to get your shape or whatever. But they would get together, meet, have a refreshment afterwards, and then they'd play cards to the wee hours of the morning. That's kind of what we still do today almost, but we're getting too old. We quit before the wee hours of the morning. But anyway, that was interesting. And then some of the original guys got too old, and their children, Chuck Ritters, my dad, Earl Peters, and took over. And we, at the time, had a state young farmer association. So we would have award winners. We'd have a convention in Columbus every year. We'd take the women along so they could shop at Lazarus or eat at the Neal House or some other fancy place. And they gave out awards. You could be a member of the Young Farmers Association of Ohio until you were 35 years old. Then that was it. So we, the Lakota group, chartered in 1964. We met at Lakota School. And we had agribusiness people come in and speak to us. And when they got done, we played cards or basketball or something like that at Lakota School. Well, we ended up leaving Lakota School and having the meetings out here. We had the meetings in our kitchen for several years. Then we built this addition on the barn, which you're sitting in right now. We built that in about 1973. And we started meeting out here. And we played volleyball and basketball out there in the concrete out there. And then we'd come in and we'd play cards and tell lies to each other and drink adult beverages. This went on for a long time. And several years ago, the younger group kind of displaced us. And we had fundraisers back in the day. We started out with equipment sales. And we had them first at Roy Brubaker's, then at Chuck Ritter's and the fairgrounds. And we made our money that way, which we donated to organizations in our community here, which we still did until we didn't do it anymore a couple of years ago. So after the machinery sales, we figured the food at the fairgrounds was terrible. It was too expensive. Maybe we ought to have a food stand at the fairgrounds. So Ronnie Timmons donated his migrant shack, which is 20 foot long and 7 foot wide. And we started with that. And as time went by, we made improvements. We put concrete around the outside. We put a concrete floor in. Today it's a little more extravagant than what we had back then, but we had to do electrical work. And Steve Lindsay helped a lot with that. And a few others that I'm probably forgetting, but every year we made improvements and we sold the sandwiches so the kids at the fairgrounds would have a good, reasonably priced meal. So we continued until a few years ago when the next generation of young farmers took over. So we still get together here from the first Monday in March, go to the first Monday in December. That way we're not out here when it's super cold and people falling down in the snow and ice and whatever. we can get it warm enough in here with the stove and the wall unit. On the
Just that.
79 in here. Now, the high point and the low point that I can remember, the low point being we lost a couple members because we got in an argument about politics. That's unfortunate. And Pat's come up with a saying now, we don't talk about politics. You get a charge out of this. We had John Roush sit right here. And he would get mad when he'd a little bit, and he'd say, open the door. He'd take the cards, fire them in the stove. So we burnt many, many decks. But Chuck was a meek, mild-mannered guy. He tolerated it. One night, Chuck was having a terrible, terrible time. He was losing every game. He was getting lousy hands. And he finally just had all of it he could take. He grabbed the deck. He was sitting right next to you in a chair right there. And the stove was here, a different stove than what we've got now. But anyway, he says, open that door, I'm burning these cards, which was totally uncharacteristic of him to say that. But somebody opened the door, he wound up and he fired them at the door. The stove was burning really good, but he messed with every card. And I can testify to that because the next morning I picked up 48 cards off the floor. So that was probably the funniest thing I can remember. You see what we're doing now. A bunch of old codgers get together. We don't play for money. We play for you, pinochle. And we have a pretty good time 9 months out of the year.
So when I came back, I was inspired by the group. As a realtor, you're like, okay, I need to get involved in something. And I'm involved in chambers and elks and rotaries and all that stuff. But this group, to me, these are my people. These are the people I grew up with that supported my parents. My parents supported them. And this is family for me. So that's why I chose to do these interviews and to bring the spotlight on to such a great organization and becoming a part of it. Well, so this is going to be a tough one, I think. After what we've talked about already, who are the characters in this group? Who's the one that kept everybody laughing? Who's the one that, if he shows up, something funny's gonna happen?
Chuck Ritter and Ronnie Timmons.
Ray Stein.
And Ray Stein, yeah. Young
Really
Farmers built this addition on here. And run your foot through the board up there on the roof. But OSHA shut the job down.
There on the table, in the blue table, you've got Peter's name, and they talked to the wee hours of the morning at that table there. So it's still up there. Their names are still on the table.
That's pretty cool. And if walls could talk, what do you got to say about that? If walls could talk, what's something that happened here? Just one thing. I know there's probably hundreds, thousands of brilliant ideas versus bad ideas. Can you talk about one? Can you speak on one of those?
Oh, boy.
Well, we tried hot dogs at the hamburger stand, but those didn't go over well.
Okay.
How much money have you guys raised over the years?
Thousands.
Oh, hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, over that many years, yeah.
What's an average year at the fair back in the day? 25, 30 grand?
That's probably about right.
That's about it's been since I've been around.
Yeah.
35 grand,
Yeah.
year after year after year after year after year. It's gotta be $1 million.
That's what's great about it.
In 2007, hamburger stand deposit was $15,415. So that was in 2007. That was in August. So that had to be after the hamburger stand, after the fair was over.
No, it's really taken off over the last, say 6-7 years. We've seen a drastic improvement in the deposits. I think for several different reasons. One is we did start serving a breakfast sandwich. I think breakfast sandwiches have gone over very big. We have lots of people. We waited all year. They come into the fairgrounds. They make it to their stand right away. We've waited all year long. We're glad to see you guys are finally back. We've been waiting for one of these sandwiches all year. And we have quite a few people come by for just breakfast sandwiches in the morning.
That was one of our better moves, is to start breakfast, which we did headed up by Ray Ritter there.
August 11th, 2008. This is meeting. Ray Ritter explained his idea about serving breakfast sandwiches starting at 7 a.m. $2 for just meat, $2.25 for a meat and egg sandwich, and $2.50 for meat, egg, and cheese, from 7 until 11 at the fair. So that was in August of 2008. That's when we started sandwiches.
And to give you an idea of the numbers we're talking, I think, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think the dozen eggs that we would have to buy each year and serve, they were full brown eggs. So they were in the shell. And I think the last couple of years we've gone over 200 or 300 dozen a week. All fresh eggs. So
Donated from local farmers around here then.
most of them came from the Amish, I think, because we needed so many eggs at one time. So
Okay.
Yeah, he would pick them up.
Okay.
And back in 2008, we charged $2.50 for a hamburger, $2.75 for cheeseburgers, and $4 for a double cheeseburger.
Wow. And what are the prices now for?
I think we're
$6
six
for
a double and $4.50 for cheeseburgers. So we still
no,
haven't
$6
went up.
for a cheeseburger. Is it $6 for?
Six for a
6
double.
and 8.
Oh, okay.
Or was it 6 and 8? 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's great. And so every dime you guys make goes back into the FFAs in the local area, the fair.
Well, when our guys started it, it was just for 1 week out of the year. These guys have expanded it totally. Would blow our guys, other than these two, their minds, because they did it to buy beer and peanuts so they could play cards during the winter. And then they donate the money to charitable organizations, plus support Lakota schools, whether it was athletic boosters or the honor society or whatever, band, whatever. But now these guys have expanded it, not so much as many charitables, but they've more or less taken it to the kids, the Sandusky County kids that show at the fair, where our guys just did it for our kids and grandkids, where they more for the kids, where we did more charitable.
Right. And now they have the Jack and Jill. So
Right.
now they're doing 2 big events every
Yeah,
year.
right.
And the Jack and Jill, Jacob, do you have any numbers on that?
We beat last year's.
You beat last year, so it's successful. I'll find out at the next meeting. You guys could too if you were there.
I don't have final numbers, but it
But
was.
last year wasn't it over 30,000?
We netted this year, I think, right around
Last year, I think, was
36,000.
in the area of 35.
We're at 30. We're over
35,000.
36 this year. Just in that.
So they've taken it, they made it so much larger than our guys did, because they just did it 1 week out of the year and then they're done. Where these guys, it's 365 days.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
But you guys started in this little area and is making such a huge impact on the agricultural, the youth coming up here. And I got to say, I'm proud to be a Sandusky, Seneca County resident now, and congratulations to you guys on such a great job on doing this.
One of the other dumbest things we did was
Oh, here we go.
30 years ago or so. It was a very, very cold night in January. It was probably 15 below zero. And we came in here and we played cards, and the heat wasn't keeping up. So we played with gloves on. And we started, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And the first shift with about 6 people. We lasted about till 8 o'clock. Couldn't stand it anymore. About then, 6 more people come in the door. The first bunch left, froze, and the other bunch come in and played cards till 10, 11 o'clock, and that's all we could stand. But that was so cold that night.
And
Woo!
women weren't involved then either. It was just the guys.
Never a girlfriend, nothing?
Not in the early years.
Oh.
Not that they knew, yeah.
Oh,
Now, you young farm wives used to put up a lot of meals and stuff at all the
I was never a young
things.
family.
You were never a young farm wife.
No.
There was a lot of them that were.
Jet, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jet and I weren't, yeah.
well.
Couldn't keep track.
Does anybody else have a story or two they want to share? Anybody? Maybe they got a story or two that they do want to share or don't want to share. Maybe don't.
Well, I'll tell you, our ag teacher, this one was, Adams, Jeff. He came up to me one time at the hamburger stand at the fair, and he said, Pat, he said, if it wasn't for the social aspect of here playing cards once a month or once a week, said the Lakota Young Farmers wouldn't have lasted that long. He says it was a social aspect coming here that kept it going.
Makes perfect
Well,
sense.
you had to be here so they couldn't talk about you.
That's right. Plus, the women says, go ahead and go.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for meeting with us on a Monday night. I know you must be busy. We're busy on Monday nights, but you guys, with all these cards being played, I don't know how you do it. You got to be here. You start playing cards at 6 o'clock. You're not going to go home till what, 9? How far is it for you to get home?
Oh, I'm just up the road.
2 minutes?
Well, it took a month or so ago. It took a long time because I had this thing. I went out on the road and I looked at it. I can tell where the road is. No lights, and no lights behind me. No lights on this. So I took off, and I went in the ditch.
Oh,
Down the
no.
road, not very far. Was this thing off the road? Fortunately, a bunch of these guys were still around yet, and they were
You
helping
were still here, Hamlet, weren't you?
set me up, set the wheelchair up, and then I went on, and Pat followed me with the car and the lights, which I should have done in the first place. So it can be a long ways up
I
there.
suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose.
And the next month, John kept talking to him until I got on the road with my lights.
That's great. So that's going to wrap up our interview with the Lakota Young Farmers. Started approximately 50 years ago. The U.S. is turning 250 years this year. I thought this would be a great time to at least document some of the history that's gone on with this great group. So catch us again next time. Please like and subscribe to Buckeye Backroads. We're going to be easy to find before you know it. But got another story of someone who needs to be recognized. Hasn't been recognized in this community, and you think they'd be a good one, let me know. We'll get them on here. You guys have a great night. Thank you very much. And out. Cut.
Cut.